Hello, everyone. It's been a while. So, here I am in my last ever Hawaiian studio. Let's see, it's been over 2 years since I've had a proper studio session update on this channel, and I've been thinking about it a lot. Been thinking about everyone, been thinking about making more stuff, but you know what? Life sometimes happens and it takes you on this journey. And the last couple of years for us has been a crazy journey. And it's about to get even more crazy. Look at this. I'm packing everything up, but more on that in a moment. So, yeah, the channel, I have an idea to evolve the channel into something aligned with the retreats I've been doing, music and mysticism, and start to work on content that's related to the retreats. So that is going to happen once we get to a new magical land. But first, let's just go back over the last couple of years, because the biggest takeaway from this video I want is that you as a creator, you have to roll with the punches. And sometimes, unexpectedly, getting into a place of less comfort actually yields more results. So the last couple of years, let's go back about 2.5 years. We were living in that house that you saw with that beautiful big studio. And then all of a sudden, we found out that the property was going to be sold. And we tried to scramble to get investors and help us buy the property, but nothing worked out. And it was, way out of our price range because of lockdown and prices going up everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So we started to pack everything down and put everything in boxes, and we found a new place to live like 3 weeks before we had to move. It was very stressful. And then all of a sudden, we are moving everything in like 3 massive trucks. You know, you saw how big the studio was. It was insane. It was a lot of work to move that. And big shout outs to my buddies on island who helped with that. We ended up in this new place, and it was going to be our new hub, and it was beautiful and magical, and it was a paradise. And after 2 weeks of living there, we got a notice of termination of lease agreement because the people who own the house wanted to move from California back to Hawaii, and we just had to deal with it. So we scrambled. We ended up on a farm of some people we knew. And the idea there was to build a studio, maybe even start teaching students. So there was a lot of talk of getting a studio, which turned out to just be talk, and it wasn't going to eventuate. So we realized, a few months in, like, wow, this is not working the way we need it to. We need to move. So we moved over to the other side of the massive volcano, and we positioned ourselves on a very remote property in a tiny home in a very kind of rugged place to live. It ended up being a big mission to get to town. There was a nice beach nearby, which was one of the perks, and I got to learn how to free dive. But we ended up in a place that was cold and moldy, and it rained like 340 days of the year that we were there. And during that time, I crammed my whole studio into a tiny little room, and everything else that couldn't fit, I put it under the house in storage. A lot of things got damaged, a lot of things went bad, a lot of things got moldy. I had to let go of a lot of stuff. And, through this time of moving again and again, I was selling gear just to pay for rent and moving expenses. And as most of you know, we weren't touring during this time either. We were working on getting a big event space on the island. And so eventually the big event space started to take shape, and we were talking with contractors about building out this amazing venue, like 360-degree sound, a freestanding 60-foot structure that was going to be an immersive theater. And it was all going ahead, and we were about to go into a big contract with that. And then all of a sudden, due to the classic story of jealousy and greed and dominion over land, all of a sudden our hopes and dreams were taken away, and we had to back out of that. And it was probably a good thing, because it would have gone south. So we learned some big lessons with that, and we decided it was time to get back on the road. So during the year that followed, it was just a lot of work, working on new music, new ideas for the projects. And there was a lot of time just in this tiny little room in this tiny house writing the new music. The two releases that just came out from Merkaba and Kalia are mostly from that tiny little room. But yeah, we knew that we couldn't stay there. It was just too uncomfortable. So we moved to this house that we're in now, which we realized was not actually our dream home, and not as comfortable as we like it to be. The neighbors are too close. They're just across there. We don't like to hear the neighbors. We like to have a sanctuary, and this is not so much of a sanctuary. So we decided to call this the Launchpad, and we would use this as a launch pad to where we're going. So after some journeys to far off lands, we actually realized that the launching from the launch pad is going to take us to a new land, a new country. So we are currently packing everything down. I'm packing up all the synthesizers. I'm wrapping them in bubble wrap. I'm definitely going to take my Dimebag Darrell miniature guitar there. And everything's going to go in a couple of flight cases and then a couple of bags for clothing. And we are off over the ocean on a one-way ticket with our little puppy. And we're going to explore living in a whole new land. So that's pretty much all I can say at this point. Once we get there and we get settled, hopefully I can touch in with an update and start working and developing on the future of this channel. Anyway, for everyone who's been on the journey thus far, thank you. Hope you're getting a lot of knowledge and wisdom out of what I'm doing. There's retreats coming. There'll be at least one retreat in 2026, maybe two. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, there's lots more music coming. So, all right, I'm going to love you and leave you. Stay creative.